Hi, friends. We're back. We just wanted to share this little video. We're kind of moving into the Korea and Vietnam era of I Will Wait. And there's actually a section in Korea that we're not going to show you today that is just it's my personal favorite part. Um, of the play. It's really, really moving. But today we're going to talk a little bit about kids and families and kind of what they walk through and have to hold and carry when their parents or loved ones leave and come back from war. So we're going to show two little clips. The first one is going to be from the Vietnam or from the Korea scene. Um, there's an exchange between the spouse and their young daughter. And then the second clip moves into the Vietnam era between the soldier and the spouse, and then their teenage son. So we're gonna watch those quick, and then Leah and I, without a doubt, will have a lot to say.
So much to say.
Your father would have been so proud of you today. You can cut the brave act with me. You're allowed to be sad, to miss him. You can cry. Who says that I'm not? That I haven't? That I won't? Good. What about you? You went to the ballet last night. By yourself.
That's nothing new. I have always encouraged her to be her own person and not be afraid to be alone. And that's how I know that she is going to be just fine.
In times of celebration or anticipation and what do you anticipate, Mom? What happens next? I don't know. I don't know either. But promise me that you aren't gonna run away and hide. I won't. I can't do this alone. I'm not you. Honey, I can't do this alone either. Yes, you can. Well, I won't. I will not.
Welcome home, Dad. Hey, son.
I'm sorry. Sweetheart, I didn't know that you were coming today. I'm sorry you had to walk through all of that.
It's okay. This assholes won't bother me, Mom. It's okay. Don't bother. Sorry, Dad. Sorry? Sorry for what? Sorry for not always understanding. I was just so angry at you for never being home, for missing all my stuff. I didn't know where to put all the feelings. I didn't know how to feel. But I get it now. I never said it sooner, and I'm so sorry for that. I am so proud to be your son. But it's okay. Mom did a good job. She can really chew some ass when she has to. You don't have to tell me twice.
Your father has something he wants to tell you.
Actually, I have something to tell him. I've been thinking about it for quite a while now, and I've decided what I want to do for my 18th birthday. What's that? I'm enlisting.
Just keep it light there. All I can think of in that first scene with the Korean, I mean, and listen, and the kid in that is Peyton. It's Amy's daughter. So like, let's just add more to the gutting we get when we watch that. But
Yeah.
that moment when she's like, well, you won't do it alone, or I can't do it alone like you. And the mom says, I can't either. And the kid says, yes, you can. It makes me think of like, we tell each other and ourselves as military spouses, like, be strong for the kids, be strong for the kids. don't let them see you crack. Don't let them see your fear. Don't let them see how lonely you are. And I think there's a fine line to that, right? Like there's a fine line to being like, we're fine all the time. We're going to pretend, right? Because none of us are fine ever, at least most of the time.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Ever. But what we do when we do that is we show our kids that it's not okay to be fine. And that's a hard line to walk. I mean, I can remember that deployment to Afghanistan, and you and I experienced that with our kids really differently because mine were so young.
Mm.
But like so Lucia she'd have been 8 and Estelle would have been 6 or 5 and James would have been just like 2 or 3, or he was 3, I think, when Rick left. So they were little. So we were dealing with like those like broad stroke questions, like, is daddy gonna die? Right? Like they're deep, hard questions, but they're innocent questions.
Yeah.
Is daddy gonna die? And like, I don't know, how do you answer that when you're trying to tuck a kid into bed and you're so exhausted because you've just been holding it all together all day, and then you got to sit down and be like, well, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you, this isn't what I said, but in my head I'm like, I'm not going to tell you he's not.
Right. Yeah. And I think, I think you're right. It's just, I always feel like there's such a parenting shift when your children can really start to vocalize their own opinions. And so for me, the last deployment really, the fourth one a little bit, but my kids were all older. I mean, my twin boys were in the 8th grade. And so there is a fine line between like giving them space to be mad and question and want to know why. I remember very distinctly my boys were like, I understand that dad didn't have a choice because the Army says he has to go, but he had a choice. Like, you guys had a choice. Why did you choose this?
Yeah.
And
there's this shift at that age that I hadn't experienced yet when I watched you go through it, where they're like,
and I think, and then it's that balance of trying to explain to your kid, well, we believe in we believe in the importance and the value of your dad's service, and we're all proud to serve, alongside him in that small capacity. But you're right. You know what? You and I think what's hard for me then to move into the second piece of that with Vietnam is, my answer then was always like, guess what? You get to make your own choice. Like, there will come a time in your life where you get to make the choice. This is the choice your dad and I made. And was it the right choice? It was the right choice for us, given a plethora of circumstances, right?
Yeah.
It's hard and it's messy, and you're entitled to all of those feelings. But then for me, I struggle right now with the second one, because then I have 2 boys that felt that way and understood the hardship of it and have made the choice. I mean, both my boys will be second lieutenants in a year in the Army.
Right. You almost did your job too well to be right, because you have to kind of, I do think when you're dealing with the like kids and then into adolescence, like you do, I even think like for my own processing and sanity, like you have to put that altruistic piece in there, right? Like you have to be like, zoom out. Like we can all argue the nuances of why we went and what we were doing and all that. But when you really zoom out and you're like, no, we are involved in something that's greater than ourselves. Like at its bare core minimum, like your dad and I chose to continue this life where we are giving ourselves to a greater purpose. And then when you instill that so good that they're like, me too.
Yeah. And you want to be like, but you don't have to do that. Or you can do that in other ways, like be a teacher, be a nurse, like
please go sell cars.
Yeah. Like you don't have to do that, because I, as your mom, selfishly don't want you to do that, because I don't like you're my precious babies.
Yeah. Can't replace you.
And then when they get to the age where they can make that choice and they make the choice, it's such a hard feeling of like, bittersweet, like so much pride and so much like fear and trepidation. Like,
and you had just stepped off that conveyor belt right back onto the other
yeah.
one, which, yeah.
So, and I think, they talk a lot about the military being it's a family business, right? Like you're essentially going into the family business. And that's hard sometimes. Like there's so many layers involved and I think a lot about the people we meet, and Lee, I know you meet them too, who, will say, oh, I'm not married to anyone in the service, or oh, I'm not in the service or whatever, but I was a military brat. I was a military brat. And how many like military brats identity is my kids too all
Yeah.
still identify very much as like a military brat. Like,
yeah.
So it's where they find connection, but also it's a complicated
It's complicated
and nuanced.
But it is, to your point, like it is this identity. Like, I mean, I hear my kids too. Like Lucia now, she's 16 and Rick just retired. And so we're like almost a year into this like new stability where daddy's around and we're not worried about it anymore. And I hear her talking about all the moves and the different places we've lived and all the things that like I was kind of ready to lay down and walk away from. And she talks about them kind of whimsically, like, or like,
Oh yeah.
nostalgic, right? She's like, she liked it to an extent, like, with all the hard and everything. She really truly does like consider herself someone who can walk into any situation and navigate it because of how many situations she's had to navigate. Like there is just this identity factor that I think is really powerful. But then the kind of bittersweet heartbreak of what about when they then go assume that identity for themselves as adults.
Yeah.
And that's the real core of what we saw here.
Yeah. So, and we're gonna real quick, we're gonna just show one more clip in this video, and it's gonna talk a little bit about the music. So, I Will Wait has a ton of original music. Dave Toteron is a singer-songwriter who saw the production 10 years ago when we used pre-recorded music, songs you would know from the radio. And he approached me afterwards and asked if he could write all original music for it. So what we have in the show now is all of his original music. So anyway, the clip we're about to watch is the song that ends the first act, and it is the song that closes out Vietnam. And so my favorite part about the music in I Will Wait is that it represents each of the eras. So the music, the way it's written, we had an incredible band who played all the music. It's kind of speaks to that generation's and that era's style of music and kind of the overall feel of what was happening in the country at that time. So we're going to see a clip from a song called The Good Fight.
Oh, I love that. I love the music so much. And to your point, like I love that each era, like the World War II one is this like sweet, like sultry kind of, I don't know, is it a waltz? I don't know. I'm not that musical. Then, it just, but this song just like captures that raw emotion of the Vietnam era. Like just so much questioning. Were we doing the right thing? Was this, is this the good fight?
Who fights the good fight? I mean, it's my favorite for sure. I love how Danielle sings it. She's just channeling her inner Janis Joplin. But I'm really proud of not only is this, it's funny because anyone who knows me knows like I'm not a musical theater kind of gal. Like I am a theater gal, but I'm not so much a musical theater kind of gal.
Not at all.
Um, and so when people are like, "Oh, it's a musical," I'm like,
Mm-mm.
"Oh no, 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 it's not a musical. It's not a musical.
Yeah.
It's
May
a
as well
play.
call a scene a skit.
Yeah, don't ever.
Don't ever.
It is a play with original music.
Mhm.
And that I just love. I love the music in this show, and it makes it in my opinion, it's what elevates the script to kind of like the next level. It's not just a play, which are my love. I mean, nobody loves just a solid
Mhm.
sit down 90-minute showstopper more than this gal. But it really like, just when you kind of feel like when you're experiencing something live and you're like, I feel these feelings bubbling up
Yeah.
and I don't know how to feel, like the music starts. There was a neighbor of ours saw the Indiana production 10 years ago, and he was so funny because he said, every time I would just be like, I can't feel one more thing. He said that damn guitar player would pick up his guitar and I would be like, don't do it.
Don't
Don't
do it.
sing the song. And it
That's
was just
amazing.
like it kind of, like we know only music can, it like
Yeah.
just releases that pressure valve or like really kind of puts a feeling and an emotion to something we can't really name. And
Right.
sometimes words, escape us.
Yeah.
And so that's just another little element of I Will Wait that I'm really proud of and I really love.